The new game. How different is it to previous Alien games? What's in it that hasn't been in it before? And how much have you taken on from fans of the genre to kind of get that involved in the game?
Well, Aliens Colonial Marines, our major goal with this is to be a film-based game. And we actually are a canonical sequel, video game sequel to the movie Aliens. So we worked very close, we being Sega and Gearbox, worked very close with 20th Century Fox to make a game that tells the story after the movie Aliens. So you go back to LV-426, you find out what happened more on the Sulaco, what happened to the Queen and the remaining aliens on the planet. So if you're a fan of the movie genres and a fan of just action games, then you'll love Aliens Colonial Marines.
From previous Aliens games, have you taken feedback from the people who played the games and what they would want really from a game itself?
To be honest, we really didn't look very closely at previous games. I think there's been some very good previous Alien-style games, but I don't think any of them really captured what James Cameron did in the film Aliens. So we didn't want to be too influenced by those previous games. We really want to be influenced by the films.
The visual style is very filmic. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, one, Gearbox, wonderful developer, very good at storytelling, very good at technology. One of the first things we realized we had to do was create a new renderer. It's called a deferred renderer. It allows us to have more dynamic lights and shadows. When you're trying to get a world like the movie Aliens conveyed into video game form, you have to make sure you have great animation, great story, great visuals with lighting, and great audio as well to really get the suspense.
Now, what is built into this game as far as the gameplay options that we haven't experienced before?
Well, you have your single-player campaign, which is the story-based mode. You also have the co-op, which you can have up to 4 players jump in, jump out, and play the campaign together. Then you have competitive multiplayer. We have 4 different competitive multiplayer modes: Team Deathmatch, Extermination, Survivor, and Escape.
Tell me a bit about the aliens themselves, because from the design, I believe one of the guys that was involved in the films was actually involved in the game itself.
Well, we tried to get a lot out of the films. One of the people that we did talk to is Sid Mead. Sid Mead was actually the designer who designed the light cycle in Tron. He was the designer who designed the sets for Blade Runner. Also designed originally for the movie Aliens the sets. And we were able to pull both his designs and some new designs from him to ensure our authenticity of the world.
Who's the game aimed at? Is it people who are already familiar with the franchise, or someone who can come to it completely fresh?
Well, I'd say Aliens Colonial Marines is for everybody involved. I mean, certainly if you're familiar, if you've watched the movies, you're going to get a little more out of this. There's a lot of stuff that we did in the game for the fans. Like, for example, when you go on the Sulaco, if you look at the lockers, you'll see the names of, like, Vasquez on the lockers. You'll see half of Bishop's body in the cargo bay, which is what happens at the end of the movie Aliens. But if you've never seen an Aliens film, well, shame on you, then you'll also really enjoy it. It'll introduce you to it, and you'll probably want to go back and see the films.
Games aren't created overnight. How long did it take to put this together?
Well, this has been in development for quite a long while. I personally have been on it for the last 2.5 years, and that's when we did a kind of a restart and said, we have a great developer, we have a great license, we have a great partner with 20th Century Fox. Let's make an awesome action game. And we've really been working full steam for the past 2 years to have it out in a couple days.
It's available on a range of formats.
Yeah.
Also, there's an online game playing option, I would assume.
Well, online is certainly the competitive multiplayer, but certainly the PS3, 360, and PC launches on the 12th. The Wii U will be shortly after that. And I always recommend people to buy it on every platform because they're all great.
So where do you go from here? I mean, are you learning stuff from developing this game and releasing this game? Or you've already got something else lined up?
Well, I'll tell you right now, I'm real busy working on some DLCs, which we haven't announced, but they're going to be awesome. Working on some patches. There are still a couple bugs that we found after we finished the game. We want to make sure the consumer experience from day one is awesome. So we're still working on this game to make it great and to support the consumer.
Obviously, we're in tough times these days. How is the gaming market? Is it still as healthy as it was a few years ago?
Well, I think it's even more healthy. It's amazing if you look at the incredible games that have come out. Even this month, much less before the holidays, I love playing games, and almost every other week there's a game that I bought and played. So in some ways, it's so healthy, it makes it difficult for a game like Aliens because we have so much competition. As a gamer, I love it. As a game maker, I wish a couple of them would slip their dates.
As far as sort of the audience goes, do you find that people are accessing their games in completely different ways to how they were, say, 3-4 years ago?
Well, certainly if you look at the big genre of games, and you look at the influence of mobile games and online games and games on Facebook, it's a lot more formats, a lot more style of games. And I think overall, for games like Aliens, Colonial Marines and future games I'll make, which are more hardcore, let's say, console games, we're just expanding our audience. People will start with mobile game, maybe Facebook game, and eventually, hopefully, they'll get onto the 360 or the PS3 or PC. So I think we're seeing the video game market grow quickly, and I think it'll continue to expand.
When you're developing a game that already has a built-in fan base, is that a blessing or a curse?
Wow, that's a great question. There's the blessing part, which is you have fans already out there, but the difficult part is when I went and showed this game, I've been all over the world, and you have all these Aliens fans come up, and they go, the first thing I say is, don't screw this up. There's a lot of pressure on creating a world that conveys people's expectations for an interactive Aliens experience.
Obviously, you're going to be very close to the project because you're involved in it. But when you're watching other people playing it and they're giving you feedback, what is the kind of response that you're getting back from that?
Well, for the most part, almost all of our feedback is positive. I mean, there's always a lot of comments that we get, and to be honest, taking this game on the road and showing it at things like Gamescom or E3 or PAX or even Ingramir I went to, seeing the fans' reaction is very invigorating because we're working hard. It's not all just playing games in the office. So seeing a positive reaction gives you a little more, strength to go back to the office. But also seeing other people's takeaways from it and giving us input on the controls or how things work, we honestly take that feedback and try to improve the game.
That's great.
Hey, awesome.